Hey, good afternoon, guys. It's Tuesday. So anyway, moving into the week here. We're going to start working on the other side of the rig. Unfortunately, I just don't feel it's worth spinning it around. So we're going to be working on the dark side a little bit there. So there'll be a lot of camera carrying back and forth. Again, most everything we're doing we've already done. We're just going to show a little bit more detail on a few things. Anyway, I'm going to start out. I'm going to go ahead and get my 1-inch tube run, like these uprights here, and then I'll set the angles on them based off the body lines I'm working on, and then we'll come in and start working with the 1.5-inch tubing after that. So I hope y'all are doing well, staying warm, and not stuck at an airport somewhere. See you in a bit. Hey guys, we're trying to figure out the front end on this thing. We got to do some supports for those front fenders, and so one of the things we got to figure out is what grill are we going with. So like I mentioned before, I believe this is an SX4, I think, and we have an original Samurai grill housing. It's a little rough, but we're going to cut it at 45s here, so it's going to be okay. But basically what we're going to try to do is cut this down and try to do an insert into the middle of this. So we made some marks. I'm going to try to cut through the center of these hashes all the way down both sides, and then we'll work on trimming up the bottom. But the goal is to get this to sit up and be inside of that. So that's what we're going to work on right here. And basically our headlights, we'll go with some aftermarket headlights. Are going to hang. I'll build tabs and hang headlights. And if you can imagine this being cut at a 45 off on each corner for clearance on the front end for the tires and whatnot. And I think it'd be kind of cool to have the headlights kind of hanging out to the sides. So we've got all these parts sitting here. I don't have any money in them. We already had them. So if we mess it up, we mess it up. It's kind of how it works. So anyway, we'll give it a go. Worst case, we have to order another one. Anyway, see how this goes. We cut down 2 grills and made one, kinda. I don't know why, but I actually do think it looks better with the squared in box. Our headlight ideal, I do not know if it's going to work, but it did line up pretty cool with the support lines I'd put in already. So, kind of wish I'd have went ahead and run it over here. But anyway, too late for wishing. I don't know. I mean, she's kind of sweaty and dirty, and that's kind of sweaty and dirty too. So maybe we'll just run with it. Zeppelin seems to like it. And I don't think it looks bad. So anyway, that's how you cut up an SX4 and a old wore out Samurai grill and make one slightly less wore out Samurai grill. Alright guys, this first bar here, I took my measurements. It needs to be, it's just under 18, but that's a straight run without any notching. So this 1-inch tube, and I allow at least an inch to make my adjustments. So I've cut this stick of tube to 19 inches using this Evolution low-speed chop saw. If you've never tried one, they're worth getting. Way less mess, no dust. It just rips almost looks like drill shavings out of the metal, and it leaves a really nice end on it. The blades are a bit pricey, but I mean, in all the years I've been using it, I've only went through 3 blades, and Harbor Freight actually sells the blades now, and I gotta tell you, their metal blade works. It's worked every bit as good or better than the Evolution blades I was buying. So I think it's worth it. I just do not like the abrasive wheel chop saws. I know everyone's been using them forever. I used to use one, but these are just way cleaner. So the first thing I'm gonna do, the bottom end of this tube is pretty much just hitting straight on into the 1.5 inch. So with 1-inch tube going into the larger diameter tube with the 1.5 inch rub rails, you're not going to get a full fish mouth. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to work the top of the tube here at the end, and I'm going to take some material off just using the grinder roughly, just straight up and down here at an angle, and I'll roll the tube 180 and do that again. And all I'm doing is trying to make it fit a little bit better. Like I said, when you're going with this similar size tube, and you don't get as good of a fit as you do using a similar size, of course. But once I get that done, I'll take it over and set it on there and lean it up against the mark where I'm trying to hit. And then I'm simply going to use my paint pen and make an estimated line of where that's going to tie in. And then what I'll do is I'll chop it down a little bit and then start buffing it in until it fits. Alright guys, one thing I left out, it's good to put you an index mark. So I use it like a yellow X. And that kind of shows me, you can see here where I've done that. It kind of gives me an orientation of the part I'm working on. So this X should face me when it's on the rig. So if you see down here, I have not removed a lot of material. This probably needs to be brought down just a hair, but I'll finish that up. But you can see what I'm doing there. So this mark here is where it's going to come into the tube, and I just simply took the paint pen, contoured under the tube onto the pipe. So I'm going to probably leave about a 1/4 inch above that mark on my initial cut, and that's where I'll work. Normally I end up buffing all the way to the end until I lose all the paint, and that's where it fits. But again, this is a technique you'll have to get used to, and your results may vary a little bit on where you end up at. But anyway, I'm going to use a bandsaw, just kind of cut this, contour that angle, and then I will go check that, and then I will mark the other side as well. Alright guys, we're on the dark side of the shop now. Anyway, it's the old air compressor. If you look here, that's what I'm trying to do. So you can see how I'm trying to come underneath there. And if you look here, we are just a hair high. So I need to take a little bit more of that off, and then I'm going to fold this lip back till it meets up front here. And then down here, I'm going in tight, and I'm up against a weld as well. It's kind of hard to see in there. Like I said, this is just this is more to build an attachment point to build the rest of the fender off of. But the fact that it is in so tight, it's easier to burn in this 1 inch first and then build the 1.5 inches after. Now, if this wasn't the second side of the rig, I would have to get both of them notched up and mated up and everything prior. But since all I'm doing is mirroring the other side, I can go ahead and get them cut up individually because I know where I need to hit. So here it is, tucked up in there. Got a little bit more gap than I'd like, but it should be fine for what it is. And like I said, when you're dealing with this 1 inch, it's a bit tricky. So you can see it fits up in there fairly good. And I'll hit the paint down there. I've already buffed the paint off the upper bar. And this is DOM, so it's already clean. I just hit it with some brake clean, clean it up, it burns in. And so I'll remove the paint down there. And I'll probably go ahead and get this one burnt in before I build the 1.5 inches, just so it stays lined up. So like I said, when you're dealing with the 1 inch to the 1.5 inches, everything changes just a little bit. And then when you're dealing with funky angles and whatnot, and of course, you know, working off of somebody else's project, it makes everything a bit more interesting. Alright guys, we got this burned in right here. Come out fairly good. We're going to come back and meet up right about here. I need to get a measurement. From there, we'll go to the bottom of the pipe to let's see. Look up in the bottom of the pipe about there, bottom of the tube. And the furthest point on our notch up here is going to be about 26, so we're going to cut this tube to 27, and by the time I notch it all in, that should fit just fine. I'm going to take a minute and look at my scrap pile of tube from other cuts and ends of sticks to make sure I don't have something. I try not to waste any material. Alright guys, I've got this marked up in here. I need to clean up this bottom edge just a little bit, bring that down in. Clamps throwing me off just a hair, but I'm using a little angle block, setting it to 0 on the rub rail because that's the line we're working off of, and then put it up here. And we're within Well, we're probably within the accuracy of the little block. We're within a 1/4 degree of each other. So at this point, I'm going to take and I'm going to mark my tube, and this will pretty much give me my angle I need to cut this in on, and then when we roll it back into that corner, it should be really close. So let's take a look at what that mark looks like. Again, the more you choose to work like this, the more you do it, you kind of read between the lines on it. But that right there, if we angle that in, that's going to hit pretty close to what we're looking for. So I will start with my saw up here, take that off, and then I'll come in and square it up. Alright guys, we got that bar in there. I'm going to go around and take some measurements on the other side. We'll come in here, put our brace in like we did before. We'll brace up that rear bumper, drop that piece in, and we'll be done with this rear fender. So, seems like kind of a slow process, I'll give you that. But honestly, start to finish, I had this 1.5 inch bar from cutting it off a joint to weld it in, and took about 30 minutes. So, it's not fast, but I already knew where I was going with it, so that makes it all go a lot faster too. So just bear that in mind when you're trying to lay the lines. It's more difficult than just putting them in. Anyway, thank you. Alright guys, see our mark here, and hit pretty good, so that was quick. Go ahead and support this up, and that's ready to go. So there we go. We'll get this spurred in, and we'll put a support up there and then brace up the back, and we'll be done on this rear fender. Alright guys, so I tried that carbide tip blade on the notcher, and that's no good. I guess bimetal's the way to go. It jacked the teeth up on it first try. So live and learn, I guess. I thought I was getting something better. Turns out it wasn't. So anyway, we're cutting this down with the bandsaw now. Getting ready to, she's a bit too long still. So I made my new marks, and going to cut it off and then reshape it, and hopefully we can get it in there. It's going to be really tight, probably going to tap it in to get a good fit. So anyway, thank you. Oh, hey, there you are. Oh, to get the line, to understand the line, you have to become one with the line. So what I have to do here, I got to make this match. I did this the other day. I should have laid it in a little bit smoother, but anyway, it is what it is. Alright, so now, kind of got to match it. So, like I said, I'm a big fan of using scraps I got left around and whatnot. Let me see if we got something back here. There's another fan. We got lots of fans. I think it's coolant. And we got interior cleaner, OxyClean. That might help. But, oh, wait a minute. I bet we can use this. So let's see, guys. If we look at over here, we come in just inside the weld, kind of arc back a little bit and come forward. So to do that here, it's going to put me roughly looking at an angle and a cut in similar about that. So, oh, I gotta take the cap off. Let's see here. So if we kind of line this up, I bet you that's going to be really close. I'm going to be able to adjust this a little bit. I'm going to take and mark contour my tube back here, and I'm kind of going to mark the contour of my base down here. So as you can see here, I have my cut-ins made, and now we're going to go over to the bandsaw and see what we can do. Hey guys, look, we got that other side burned in. I feel like I should be honest with y'all, full disclosure. The first scrap piece of metal I grabbed, I cut it too short, so I screwed up. So here's the one. I cut a new one, and actually it fit much better. So sometimes mistakes are good. It's all about the outcome, what you make of it. So let's walk over here. You see this one contours up tight to the body. We really got close on this one over here. The bead laid in a lot nicer, it squared up better. I feel this side looks, this is what that side should have looked like, you know, ignoring the little welding turd there in the middle. It's pretty tight getting in there with the gun. But anyway, like I said, I think it came out pretty good. And from behind, I mean, if you're following us down the trail, that would mean we're running. But besides that, it would also, I think it's gonna look just fine. So anyway, thanks guys. That wraps up this rear fender over here. So maybe if you walk with me here, we'll look at this side and kind of watch how it wraps around. We got our center brace tied back into the cage. We got our big nodes shirred up. Everything's braced off the rub rail. We got our spanner bar in there, whatever you want to call it. Walk past Waffle House here. We got another Waffle House to build still. But for a few hours today, I've got quite a bit done here. We got all this tied in. Cross braces here, center braces here, and we got this tied in back here. So that's a wrap on this video, guys. I really appreciate you taking time to watch it. Hopefully you're enjoying it. I went into a little more detail on my method on notching, and in the next one we'll go in maybe even a little bit deeper. Alright guys, have a good evening. Post up your comments. Thank you.